Okay, welcome to the review of the problem set for lesson 9. This is a misprint, so we want to make sure we're on the right piece of paper. And I just want to do that quick summary again. Use the properties of operations to add and subtract rational numbers more efficiently. So it just really helps us keep things easier, and that can occur when it's all addition, and then we use that additive inverse. Also, this is a funny statement and it seems very complex with words. The opposite of a sum is the sum of its opposites, okay, as shown in the examples that follow. So, -4 and 4/7 is the same thing as -4 plus -4/7. Negative, parentheses, 5 plus 3, so the negative sum, so read that like that, the negative sum equals the opposites. So there, you just spread it out. This makes it a little bit easier to see what that means. So in our problem set, show all steps taken to rewrite each of the following as a single rational number. So we'll go over, make sure you have your workout so you're comparing and make any adjustments and notes. All right, here we go. This first problem, we already are set up with an addition problem. So our first step is going to be to decompose. So when we decompose 80 plus a -22 plus a -4/15. Now using that associative property, if you would like, you can combine the 80 plus -22 if you would like, if that makes it easiest. You can also combine your two negatives. So you really have two options here. So I'm going to combine the 80 and the -22 and the plus a -22, and you get, do you know, 58 plus -4/15. Now remember, because this is a negative, I cannot just combine it with the 58. You actually are taking it away and subtracting it, so you have to think about 58 as being 57 and 15/15. And then you subtract the 4/15. So you add that -4/15. So I'm actually going to show it as if I am grouping these two fractions. So your final solution is 57 and 11/15. Now I hope that you are actually writing and recording all these steps and that you're checking your work. If you used a calculator to find these answers, that is not going to get you through when we assess you and we test you on whether or not you understand the process. We know that a calculator can give you an answer, but this is about, do you know how to get to the answer without a calculator using those properties and the rules for adding and subtracting rational numbers. So if you do not have these steps down, I recommend that you pause before this moves on, that you complete these showing all of your work so that we can see that work when you return to school. Okay, next problem, 10 plus a -3 3/8. Step 1, I'm going to decompose. And remember that negative also goes with the fraction. Now I'm going to group using that associative property, 10 plus a negative 3, which if you visualize the number lines, if you get confused as to which way you're going, you went right to 10 and now I'm moving left, so my number is going to decrease. 7 plus negative 3/8. Now, make sure you realize that because this is a negative, my answer is going to be less than 7. So this is one of those where you think about 7 being is also equal to 6 and 8/8, so that you're able to do the fraction here. Now this is if you're doing it without the use of, say, a number line. Okay, in lesson 8 it showed using the number line. All right, so my final solution is going to be 6 and 5/8. Because when I add these two fractions together with the 6, it would go back and equal the 7. All right, number 3, 1/5 plus 20 and 3/10. Remember, we're going to add the opposite. Now we have two fractions here, or a mixed number and a fraction. They actually have the same denominator. So I'm going to use the associative property and group those together. 1/5 plus 5 and 3/5 plus 20 and 3/10. Okay. Now, if I have, you can consider this, and that's decomposing. And when you add these all together, you are finding that this is 5 and 4/5. Okay, when I get here, I'm not speaking the same common language. I've got a fraction and I've got a decimal, and I need to be able to solve that and find an answer. And my answer can't combine isn't a fraction and a decimal. So I'm going to actually convert my 5 and 4/5 to a decimal. And 4/5 is the same as 8/10. So I'm going to change that to 5 and 8/10 plus 20 and 3/10. Now, if you don't know how I change that 4/5, remember that if your denominator is a 10, that gives you your first decimal place, your tenths. So if I multiply this times, if I have 4/5 2 times 2 and times 2, then you end up with that 8/10. All right, and when you combine those, you end up with 26 and 1/10. Number 4, 11/12 plus 10 plus a negative 5/6. I'm going to group my fractions using that associative property. And I can't solve as is, so of course I need a common denominator. So if I have to multiply 6 times 2 to make it 12, then I have to do the same with the numerator. I'm finding that equivalent fraction so that it has the same common denominator. Okay, I'm going to combine, and I get 1/12 plus 10, which equals 10 and 1/12. Okay, finally, explain step by step how to arrive at a single rational number to represent the following expectations. So before I wasn't labeling each step, so this time we're going to label. 1 plus a negative 3/4 plus a negative 12 and 1/4. Now here I did my add opposites. My next step should be decomposing. So 1 plus negative 3/4 plus negative 12 plus negative 1/4. Notice that all of this is a negative, so each piece is negative. Okay, now I'm going to group using the associative property. I'm going to group my fractions together, and then I'm going to group my integers together. 1 plus negative 12 plus negative 3/4 plus negative 1/4. Now remember, these we have different signs. So my absolute value of negative 12 is actually 12. So it's larger, which means that my sign is negative. Here they have the same sign and I'm adding, so I'm going to keep that sign and make it a negative. I'm going to keep a sign and then just add. And we should know, what is negative 4/4? That's a negative 1/2. So here, I did my groupings, all right? Then I evaluated, and I evaluated, and I have a final solution of negative 12. Hopefully you had great success. If you didn't, if you had any errors, please make sure you make a note of those, highlight it, and bring that up in class or bring it up via email.